Cheers, big ears, and welcome to the Beach Travel Wine Podcast. We are your hosts, Leanne.
And I'm Lyle.
And we are not your usual travel influencers. No, we've decided we want to be travellers that travel under the influence. Okay, good joke?
Reasonable.
Well, there's plenty more where that come from. So join us as we travel the world, one wine at a time. Well, Lyle, here we are again, back at our podcast studio.
In the Palatial Connection Hotel in Zaragoza.
Yeah, I suppose sitting here at our Grundy Undies, so it must be No Pants Friday, is it?
Sure.
I don't even know what day it is. I lost track. Anyway, Wednesday, miércoles. So we're just going to do a quick podcast today about the Chelsea Flower Show. We didn't include it in our London one because I felt that it needed a little bit more time than what I could give it in that podcast. And we're going to tell you all about the RHS, the Royal Horticultural Society Chelsea Flower Show, which is held every year in May in the grounds of the hospital there.
Yeah, the Chelsea Hospital.
Yeah. So why was I so keen to go to the Chelsea Flower Show, Lyle?
Well, on our 5-kilometre walk to the Chelsea Flower Show, Leanne told me a deep down secret that she had a bucket list on in a plastic sleeve in the back of her bedroom door many years ago, and that included a trip to Egypt. She's done that.
Tick.
A trip to Spain.
Oh, tick.
Obviously, she's done that now about 3 times. And a hot air balloon, which still hasn't to be done.
We did helicopter though. Anyway, that's another story.
And the Chelsea Flower Show. So here we are. We're on the way. We were up at 6, out the door at 7, and the gates open at 8. We were there by about 8:10.
Yeah, we were, and thank goodness. Wow, it gets busy there. But anyway, we'll talk about that in a little while. I have to admit, I didn't really know what to expect. For someone who's wanted to go to the Chelsea Flower Show for so long, I probably didn't do a lot of research, but I was quite surprised to see everything in so close together. I thought it would be more spread out. And it is a massive area, and it's just filled with gardens. There's actually like 39 gardens in the Chelsea Flower Show. 13 of those are the big show gardens, and then you've got meditative gardens, you've got container gardens, balcony gardens, you've got a whole lot of other display gardens, and then you've got the massive big pavilion, which we'll talk about in a minute as well, and then all around the outside of those are retail outlets, which in themselves are like little displays, aren't they? You know, like they're not just a shop. You know, they've got wonderful everything you can want for your garden. So it was like a assault on your senses. It was just you walk in and there's just people and gardens and flowers and not just gardens, trees like these. We're talking like full size trees brought in as well. So the first thing we did was go to the toilet, which you do after a 5-kilometre walk, and I ran into an English lady and I told her that I was Australian, which was unnecessary. She sort of picked up on the accent, but she said go and look at the big gardens first because it gets really busy, and she told me which way to go. So off we trundled and we headed down Main Avenue, it's called, and like garden after garden. There's this year seemed to be focused a lot on wildflowers and like a lot of the heritage plants of Britain as well. But there was gardens with a 10 metre, probably not 10 metres, say 5 metre high monument to the servicemen, and then
in the First World War it was an airman looking out, supposedly watching for the Battle of Britain.
So the gardens are all based around the bottom of that, and then there's gardens which have the most bright colours and shelters in the background, and there's lots my favourite one was the one that won the People's Choice Award, which had like a lovely water feature through the middle and beautiful calming colours. And actually Lyle said something about the garden makes you calm, doesn't it? they do. There's, even with that many people walking around, you're able to get up close to the gardens and touch the flowers and see the plantings. There's a lot of older English people discussing the colours and the plantings and how they had that in their garden. And for people that live on the Sunshine Coast in Queensland, we can't really grow hardly any of the plants they have. We still, like some old-fashioned plants there that remind me of my grandmother's garden, the lupins that they had, and just the lushness of it. It was just beautiful. So garden after garden, and I'm just taking hundreds of photos and from every angle, and just loving the layout of it. And so after a few of those gardens, I think we saw the main ones, half of the main ones, we grabbed ourselves a coffee and just to sort of look at the map and see where we're going. We just didn't want to wander around blindly. We decided that we'd go into the pavilion then. And just because you can get glimpses into the pavilion, and all you can see is the most beautiful colours, and I just walked in and had to stop and just to try and take it all in, because they have all the flower growers setting up their stalls, so they've got all the different flowers that they grow on display. And I'm not normally a rose garden girl, but oh my gosh, we walked around that display, and there was not a spot that didn't have a rose in every colour, climbing roses, and the smell was to die for. There was, the beautiful new colours of the peach roses, the reds, the pinks. You were even impressed, for...
Yeah. For me, the pavilion was by far my favourite. The colour and just the real intricacy when you get up close to the flowers, and the real intricacy of the patterns within the flowers. It was like, I sort of thought to myself, well, whoever come up with this was, and I'm not a big believer in religion, but whoever came up with the patterns of these flowers has got it pretty right.
Yeah.
So I was very, very impressed.
For a non-gardening guy, you...
Sure. But the other part of what I was, I'm not surprised, but I was impressed with was some of the dress of the people there. They talk about the English eccentricity, and within the crowd, it was there.
Well, some were real la-di-da, and others were like bright, like flower, like just had the fascinators, and some had the grooviest pants on with the bright flowers on them. Yeah, anything goes really in the fashion. But yeah, you're right. It was
unfortunately, great. Once again, Leanne and I failed the test again. We had I had my hoodie on and a pair of jeans and I think a green T-shirt with joggers. And so we didn't really pass that test, but that's okay. We saw the flowers as well.
But no one else probably walked the 5Ks like we did, so to get there. So also in that pavilion, besides the roses, there's a few. I mean, there's just, you can't see from one side to the other. There's just so many. But I'll just describe a few of the favourites, because I could go on and on and on, and probably will when I get home and talk to everybody and tell everyone how beautiful it was. But they also had like little dining rooms, outdoor dining rooms decorated in there. So they weren't actually, they were displays as well. And they were, like works of art, beautiful big... What? You not?
No, I was just sort of thinking about those driftwood sculptures as well.
Yeah,
that was fabulous.
Yeah, go and check out the stories on Instagram, the highlights of London, and you'll see the Chelsea Flower Show. That was probably up there with the top 10 for me. There's a guy that's taken all this old driftwood, it looks like, and he's sculpted them into the most realistic looking animals for your garden sculptures. And there's a horse that looks like it's actually running at you. He's captured the movement. It's not just a blob of wood, you walk around it and you feel like the horse is running.
And it's life size.
Yeah, life size. Yeah, right. And there's lions life size, there's eagles coming down, to get fish out of water. Oh yeah, that was pretty amazing.
The bull?
Oh yeah, the big Toro bull, which is
with the big horns.
Yeah, that was it. But back to the pavilion. So another couple of things that I just loved in there. There was these massive begonias. I've never seen begonias. There's bright orange and bright yellow, and they're the size of like almost a dinner plate. Like they were people were just saying, this really old lady, she looked probably about 100. She said, I've never seen begonias that big. I'm like, well, if you haven't, then they must be big, right? And behind them were the tallest and brightest blue delphiniums that you've ever seen as well. But going past that, as Lyle said, did mention daffodils, and I don't know how many different daffodils were there. Like,
tulips.
Yeah, tulip. Oh, and how beautiful. You had no idea there were so many different tulips. There were the bright red, the soft blush pink with the little fairy sort of soft edges, the peaches and the maroons. Oh, yeah, just amazing. Some were in pots, and then some were in this massive display. They were the single ones, the old-fashioned ones, and up to like the double frilly ones. But I turned this corner, and that's when I saw my favourite part of the Chelsea Flower Show, because it just reminds me of my Nana Bennett, and I think that's why I've always wanted to go to the Chelsea Flower Show. And it was this massive big stand just full of fuchsias, and they looked to me like little ballerinas. That's why I think I loved them as a little girl. But I've never seen so many sorts of fuchsias. I've never seen so many colours of fuchsias and so many sizes. They had giant, big, hot pink with purple, and then they had the most delicate, tiny, little soft pink and white, and with little red, little dancing things, and they're all sort of fluttering around like a massive, as I said, ballerinas. And I just kept going round and round and round this display, just trying to get the different angles, and that really made my heart sing. It was just absolutely stunning, So the lucky people that can grow fuchsias, wow, there's some beautiful new ones, and obviously the old-fashioned varieties in there as well. They had also, they're up there with the cactus, and even some of the insect-eating plants. They were, they were massive. Just everything you could imagine you want to see in a cottage garden is there, and these are the people that grow them, and they're talking to people who buy them, and they're selling them there, and people are planting their gardens. It was really special. So on from that, we decided we'd just go for a bit of a walk around the outskirts, and found a little bar that sold rosé. And by this time it's sort of 11 o'clock, probably not.
Yeah, probably about 11 o'clock. And they say that there's they have 160 on average. They have 168,000 visitors for the show, and I think by 11 o'clock that day, I think the 168,000 were there, and that's maybe due to not having it previously because of COVID, but there was people everywhere.
But we found a seat, and we had a little rosé. And anyway, you need to take a
a
tablet.
Leanne pointed out that what is it? The Royal Horticultural Society Rosé Pavilion, and I thought, well, that's handy because I need to take a Sudafed, and I couldn't find any water, so. Anyway, we sat there and looked around and just watched the people go by.
The fashions and
it was different. Like it was really good.
Yeah. So we did a little bit more of a wander around past the other gardens, the container gardens, and we mentioned before about the horses, the sculptures. But some of the container gardens had like apples, like how big? Like big as a suitcase, made in mirrors, so it was reflected everything in the garden. This big apple sitting. You didn't see that one?
No.
Oh, you have to look at the photos. Yeah, and they had obviously practical kitchen gardens outside, and some people just showing off the lighting. Some people looking at the furniture. Other people had fabrics to match the flowers. It was just. Yeah, things that you just think, wow, I would never have thought to do that.
Yeah, and the retailers that were, the quality was, fabulous.
They were so good, the displays, that we nearly bought raincoats, right?
Sure.
We don't even need them. They were patterned and long and thick, and they just looked spectacular. And we just maybe...
You just don't see that sort of gear in Australia.
Even the secateurs and the gardening gloves looked special, didn't they? So stall after stall of just some art, lots of artwork as well. lots of flowers and things painted, clothing, that for gardening as well, aprons and all the accessories that you could think of were just there. And as I said, we don't have a garden. I've got one pot plant now, but boy, if I was going, needed something, that's the place to go. It was, So 39 gardens later, and I don't know, hundreds of retail outlets later, and that pavilion which I just went round and round and round in, and I have to say, Lyle was so patient because I wasn't going to miss any nook and cranny of that Chelsea Flower Show. I wanted to see, everything because I'd always wanted to go.
But to be fair, I certainly wasn't bored. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Sure, but when I suggested, I heard someone whispering to me that champagne was champagne. I could hear.
Yeah, Leanne, you could tell that it had come to a time where Leanne really wanted to, put the topping on her
bucket list.
And surprisingly, just at that point, we found the Pommery Champagne.
Do you know
Pavilion.
what? I reckon you can't go to the Chelsea Flower Show without having a glass of champagne. Otherwise, you haven't really been, have you? Come on.
Absolutely.
Right. And for some reason that day, we were about 15 minutes ahead of the crowd. Wherever we went, when we got a coffee, we got a table easy. When we were looking at the displays, we managed to walk around them easy. When we got a rosé, we got a seat right across.
Sure. So, I'm not sure whether that was because
get out of my way.
The people around us didn't want to sit near us because of the way we were dressed.
Us country bumpkins.
Yeah.
Or where I come from.
Or they maybe recognised our
Ocker accents.
Yeah, our Aussie accents, and let's face it, that is the mother country that sent us away.
Make way for the convicts.
Yeah, the convict. Yeah. So, but anyway, we went upstairs and
there we got a table straight away at the front, overlooking the garden area. Right, you can't see all the gardens, but the trees and stuff.
And we just happened to be the table right next to the Pommery Champagne, what you'd call like a sponsor's sales table. So it's sort of like if you go to the state of origin and you get in
in the Forex tent.
Yeah, in the Forex tent, And anyway, we were sitting right next to
I don't know that the Pommery Champagne people might be compared to the...
Sure, but it was the only thing I could think of at the time. Anyway, so...
But hang on.
It was very, very, they were very, very well dressed, and they were very, very, spoke very, very proper English. And
they were having a nice time.
They were. Of course they were having a nice... They were very...
Oh, well, not that we weren't having a nice
time.
They
were having a very nice time because they were paying for the champagne. I went up and I bought the first
glass
of champagne.
Flute.
Flute, yeah, flute. For £18 a glass. And which works out to about $36 a glass. But well worth it. But what I'm saying is the table next door to us, the State of Origin sponsors tent, they certainly weren't paying for it because it was just bottle after bottle after bottle. But anyway, so I'll let Leanne talk about her new best friend.
Yeah. So after one, I had to have two. I was enjoying. And
then two, then three.
Stop it. Stop. That's
so it couldn't have been too expensive. We end up having lunch there.
It was the Chelsea Flower Show, mate.
Sure. Your bucket list.
Yeah. So next door, there was sort of it's probably two people to start with, and then another couple came, and then another couple, and they're all having a nice time. Not that we spent our whole time, eavesdropping or watching. We were just
most of it.
Most of it. And this lovely lady came and sat down, and they poured her a glass of champagne, and she's gone, cheers, and she said, I've wanted to come to the Chelsea Flower Show. This is my first time I've ever been here, and I haven't seen a garden, and I'm already having a glass of champagne. And I just thought that was a classic. I'd walk, miles. I'd walk miles to get there and gone and seen everything before I had a champagne. Because if I'd have had a champagne first, I mightn't have done it. But I just thought, good on you. You're my sort of girl. So Lyle and I take these little toy clip-on koalas when we go away, and we like to give them to people we think deserve them, whether they're really nice to us in a restaurant. Oh, that makes me sound like a dick, doesn't it? Like, that, I don't mean like we just give them to nice people, but, you know, some people who we think would appreciate a little token from Australia, you know, they... So I jumped up and went over and said, Joe... No, actually, I didn't know her name, Joe. That would have been funny if I'd called her Joe at that stage. I said, you know, I'm Leanne. I'm my husband and I here from Australia. It's been my bucket list to come to Chelsea Fair. She's got my whole life story, you know. And I said, I would like to award you the Inaugural Koala Award for the Chelsea Flower Show today, because I just think it's a classic that you've come to the Chelsea Flower Show and you haven't seen a garden, you're already into the champagne. And she thought I was having a bit of a go at her, and then when I told her no, I was serious. I was very, very, you know, impressed. She thought that was amazing, and she took that koala and she put it in a bag, and she said she's going to follow us on Instagram, which she did pretty well straight away, and she sent me a picture of the koala as it came out of a handbag, a little worse for wear, but you know, she was very excited to get that award, and we had a lovely chat with her and her the people she was with, and they're trying to buy some Australian wines.
Yeah, one of the guys is actually the buyer for Pomery, and the guy opposite Leanne was talking about, like, they love the wine, the New South Wales wine. They were talking about, obviously, the Barossa Valley, the Clare Valley in South Australia. And
we said, you know, what about Tasmanian wines?
Yeah, well, you did. Yeah. You said, and he sort of was a little bit dumbfounded, which surprised us because...
I thought he said they're trying to find one that would fit in with what they liked, so they're still researching into Tasmanian.
But as it turned out, they were really nice people, and you know, they were genuinely laughing with Leanne the whole time. So
it was great. Yeah,
so, hats off to Leanne.
Yeah. So Chelsea Flower Show, 10 out of 10, Lowell?
Oh, probably 12, maybe even 15 out of 10. It was.
10. I have to say, I really loved it. I did. I loved everything about it. I loved the how do you say, like, the ceremony of it, the
pomp.
Yeah, and ceremony. I love the eccentricity, as you said. I love the little old ladies discussing their gardens, you know, like the people, and, you know, all the gardens. I mean, you look at them and think, how would you put that in your backyard? But, you know, they do, obviously, because they transport these gardens to other places afterwards. They don't just rip it all out. You know, they some are going to a hospital garden, and some are going to a children's home, and all sorts of stuff. So that's really nice. But I think for me, the gardens were certainly my favourite. The balcony gardens, I think, the marquee, you know, and as I said, those
pavilion,
features. So honestly, if you want to see any of what we talked about, and it's really worth going to have a look at those Instagram stories. There's some photos as well. I did put the best 10 flower photos from Chelsea Flower Show on our Instagram at Beach Travel Wine. Even if you just think you like a nice bunch of flowers, I'll tell you, this is the place to go. It's certainly worth it. It's really easy to get to too. Just quickly, you know, we walked, but you can go to Victoria Station and they'd run a shuttle bus from there. So they're obviously very efficient at running 168,000 people backwards and forwards to the Chelsea Flower Show. So we did actually hop on a train to get home.
We went underground.
Yeah, so, you know, it was a great experience, and one that I am, you know, a bit sad that I've ticked off my list, but that's okay, because, you know, I'll have to add more things to it. But thank you for coming with me to the Chelsea Flower Show.
It certainly wasn't on my bucket list, but I'm very glad it was on yours.
Yeah, and I do have a little memory from it. I bought a pen. Chelsea
Flower Show. And
don't you touch it.
Yeah, basically, Leanne said straight away, that's not for your use.
Yeah, and a little Pandora charm to go with it as well. So I'll always have that little memory now forever. So thank you once again, darling, for coming to the Chelsea Flower Show with me. And, you know, you guys listening, I hope I've given you some inspiration to want to go yourself, or at least go and have a look at the photos or check it out. It's certainly a great experience. It's been going now for years and years and years. So they get bigger and better every year. So, anyway, next we're off to España, ¿sí o no?
Sí.
Sí. And we are going to have some fabulous podcasts because we've been in Spain now for a few days and we've been having the best time and learning all sorts of stuff. And but that's the next podcast. You'll have to listen in to see that one. So, adios, amigos.
Hasta luego.
Hasta luego. Bye.